Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander has condemned the daylight murder of Amelia Hernandez and her husband, Devon Toussaint. Now, sadly, what even made this tragedy even worse is that the couple's daughter was also present during the tragic incident. I believe there were also other children on the playground at that point in time. Alexander criticized both the People's National Movement and the Independent Bench for shutting down the zones of special operations legislation, the ZOSO law, which he said would have given police more powers to deal with criminal elements. My response: the ZOSO law, even though I still, up to now, I used to say it before, and I still approve of it in theory, the ZOSO law cannot be passed unless the corrupt TTPS is completely reformed and body cams are mandated for all officers to wear while on duty. And this is what Roger Alexander and members of the TTPS and even the UNC party fail to acknowledge at this point in time. Yes, we all know that the independent senators were appointed by a former preacher of the PNM gospel, Kangaloo. But that doesn't change the fact that they made the right decision this time. You cannot give a police service that has been recognized across the world for committing acts of extrajudicial killings such extreme powers until certain things are put in place to ensure that that type of crime doesn't continue. I went on to say, I don't care about Penny and PNM's agenda. Maybe they are just opposing for opposing's sake, or maybe they really have a genuine reason for opposing this time. The fact remains that police officers can't be trusted to hold so much power at this point in time. The TTPS needs to be reformed. I've said it to the past that the TTPS needs to be disbanded. But of course, we don't have any political party here in Trinidad and Tobago has the will to disband an entire police service and rebuild from scratch. No one has the courage or the desire to do that. So at least we need significant reform. Former National Security Minister Gary Griffith has criticized Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander, accusing him of prioritizing the police service over the wider public and making statements that are bordering on being dangerous and extremely concerning. My response: in spite of disagreeing with Gary Griffith on many issues in the past, I must commend him publicly. I must commend him for being quite impartial and reasonable in most of his recent statements when it pertains to issues facing our nation of Trinidad and Tobago. Thus far, people, and we have to be honest about this, thus far he has refrained from opposing the government for opposing's sake, but has given them instead sound and logical advice and constructive criticism, just like how I give constructive criticism. And I will continue to do so when it's needed. The Prime Minister needs to acknowledge the fact that Roger Alexander is not suitable for the role of Minister of Homeland Security. Do not allow this man to be the downfall of the UNC administration. As I continue to say, yes, he's an MP. Give him some other role, but not in the Ministry of National Security. And give him a junior role as well. Guyana's President, Dr. Irfan Ali, on Saturday, commissioned the US $120 million Guyana Technical Training College at Port Morant, underscoring the central role of young people, particularly women, in building a world-class technical training ecosystem to support the country's rapidly expanding oil and gas sector. Delivering the feature address, the president said the decision to construct the facility was shaped by strategic engagements in 2020 between the government of Guyana and its development partners, including ExxonMobil. He explained that rather than opting for short-term distribution of oil revenues, the administration chose to channel more than $120 million into long-term national capacity building, focusing on infrastructure and human capital that will deliver sustained benefits for future generations. The state-of-the-art institute, outfitted with advanced simulation technology, now joins a limited group of similar facilities globally, people. President Ali said the selection of Port Morant was deliberate, given its historic reputation for producing highly skilled technical workers through the former Port Morant Technical Institute. The 28th staging of the Sagicor Sigma corporate run in Jamaica surpassed $1 billion raised since its inception, with Sunday's event exceeding its target by raising $152 million for hurricane-ravaged beneficiaries. Held under the theme Run for the West, the 2026 race focused on restoring 5 schools in Western Jamaica damaged by Hurricane Melissa, which struck the island in October of 2025. I love to see the brotherly love there in Jamaica. I'm not saying it's perfect. We all know it has a crime issue and so forth. But they came together to help each other. And we are continuing to hope that the world leaders will do the same. Instead of just focusing, I know I say this all the time, but it is a fact. Instead of just focusing on Gaza, spend a little bit of that humanitarian aid and money on places here in the Caribbean and in Africa that actually need genuine help. International news now. Quarantine breach. The Department of War announced U.S. forces seized the sanctioned oil tanker Veronica 3 in the Indo-Pacific after it attempted to evade a Trump administration quarantine order. They're lucky it's still in existence. Officials tracked the vessel from the Caribbean to the Indian Ocean before boarding it, thankfully without incident. Closing off now with the interesting facts segment. Texas entrepreneur Gordon Hartman sold his home building business and invested millions to create Morgan's Wonderland, the world's first ultra-accessible theme park in San Antonio. Inspired by his daughter Morgan, who has cognitive disabilities, Hartman wanted a place where children and adults of all abilities could play together without barriers. The park offers free admission to guests with special needs and features fully accessible rides, a water park, and inclusive sports programs. His vision transformed personal success into a global model for belonging and accessibility. Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.